For as long as I can remember, I've loved words. When I was 9, I found Countdown on Channel 4. The final round in every show is the Countdown Conundrum, a 9-letter anagram to be solved on the buzzer inside 30 seconds. As the years passed, watching this every week, I became fascinated by the sheer number of these 9-letter words in the English language. Prototype, landscape, tarantula, marmalade. Tonight I want to talk about possibly the biggest 9-letter word of all, happiness. Happiness is a concept that has occupied the minds of our greatest thinkers for thousands of years, everyone from Aristotle to Gandhi. It made the cut for the American Declaration of Independence, but even there, it's frustratingly out of reach, the pursuit of happiness. Who am I to talk about happiness? I'm not a doctor, psychologist, or scientist, but for years, I had no idea of what happiness was. I lived every day between a past I couldn't change and a future I couldn't control. Eventually, this mentality sucked me into darkness. While outwardly I presented a happy exterior, everywhere from empty churches to Starbucks toilets became a refuge for my tears. I was diagnosed with depression 3 years ago. What is depression? To me, depression was a dense grey fog that settled over every single thing, every single day. It brought a complete lack of clarity, direction, energy, motivation, eventually lack of productive output, and a complete lack of self-worth. And in a country where 1 in 12 people deal with depression at any one time, where there are 2 million prescriptions for antidepressants written every year, I felt so alone. Talking to doctors and counsellors helped, but when I left those rooms, I re-erected the veneer. For one spell off work, the doctor's cert read gastroenteritis, because he said no one will question gastroenteritis. I had agreed to that. It was essential to me that no one knew. Antidepressants were recommended, but they didn't feel right for me. For one, it felt much too quick. The prescription was written inside 10 minutes. For another, while there were many, many days I felt that the world was certainly no better off for having me in it, I wasn't actively suicidal. Now, antidepressants might treat the symptoms, but I needed to find a cause. My breakthrough came with one small positive step. A challenge from my wife, Lorraine, during one extended depressive episode, to do one thing, to take a shower every morning for a week. I managed it. This showed me that action was possible and that action got results. So I decided to examine all the actions of my life and all the choices that lay behind those actions. I believe that it's very difficult for us when we're feeling low to get up in the morning and just choose to be happy. But I also feel that our choices have a massive bearing on our happiness. One of my choices was about depression, that it must be hidden. But I realized that hiding the problem was doing very little to solve it. So I started to talk. A strange thing happened. Suddenly I wasn't alone. Suddenly conversations were happening everywhere, many of them with men who had felt the same way as I had and, like me, hadn't been able to express it. And I found in these honest conversations the most powerful drug I've ever known. Now, I'm grateful every single day. I'm grateful to have found new friendships all over the world. I'm grateful to have the strength in my legs to stand here and the strength in my lungs to speak. And I realized that happiness is so much less about having and so much more about doing and being. And every day, what we do and who we are choices. Netflix or 1 extra hour of sleep, worrying about tomorrow or committing 100% to be in the moment today. Being the person that people expect you to be, or finding out who you really are and being yourself. And I think if we can just commit to a series of small positive choices, we might find some more 9-letter words. We might find that we can be more authentic, that we can have more integrity, that we can give more enjoyment, and maybe experience happiness. Thank you.